somebody asked me about the potassium, and I answered the potassium. I think you're talking about the deficit, Sinan. I was talking about the maintenance. So I was talking about the maintenance, not the deficit. So you're using 0.4. I guess you can use it. I use, I think, 0.6. I can't remember which I use, but I think 0.4 is correct. The other question is, can we use 0.2? I do not like 0.2. I would like to use 1/5, I think. And I think, yeah, you can use it, but remember, you're giving less sodium. So you have to keep that in your mind. But again, you can use 1/5 and 1/3 and 1/2 and 1/4. I don't think that will be a problem. I remember this is the initial prescription. And after your adjustment, you have to change your prescription. You might change your fluid type. It depends on the situation and circumstances. In hypernatremic dehydration, yes, Sinan, what about it? I think I answered your question. You asked me about 0.2 normal, 0.2 normal saline, and I've answered your question about the potassium. And in hypernatremic dehydration, what about it? Any question? Anybody has any question? Yeah, you can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. You can give 1.5 maintenance, but the 1.5 maintenance is not about the sodium, not about the tonicity. The 1.5 is about the degree of loss. So you can use 1.5 whether you are hypotonic, hypertonic, or isotonic. The hypertonicity is you need to calculate the free fluid to correct the sodium, and you need to give it slowly to prevent the effect on the brain. That's the only two difference. But if it's mild, moderate, or severe, you can use same of maintenance in mild or less than mild, 1.5, or even double when it's severe. But for the tonicity, you need to calculate the free fluid, and you need to give it a little bit slow. But nothing wrong with calculation. Quick method is good. There will be a difference from accurate measurement, but remember, this is the initial prescription, and then you can change it. Depend on your capillary refill, depend on your sodium level, depend on your heart rate, your blood pressure, capillary refill, urine output, even if you can do echo. Because remember, echo can help you. I don't know if you do echo, but if you do Doppler at the aorta, if you have dehydration, you will see the variation on Doppler's loss. Because usually when you do Doppler and there is no dehydration, in a normal volume, you will see variation in the Doppler with respiration. So you get high Doppler, low Doppler at aorta. If you have dehydration, you lose this variability. So echo can tell you whether you are volume depleted when you are hypotensive or not, if you know how to do hemodynamic assessment. Any more questions? Yes, we have a question. At which age we can use the full glucose saline as a maintenance fluid safety? What do you mean full glucose saline? I didn't understand. You mean normal saline? You mean 0.1554? You mean 154? Yeah, 0.9, 154. Yeah, at any age. At any age is safe. You can use it in neonate, you can use it in 30 years old. There is no problem with 0.9. Remember, the tonicity has nothing to do with dextrose. So I can use, always remember, in neonate use D10. And in first day, don't add electrolyte. In second day, you add electrolyte. because in neonate we have the mixture, so we don't use ready-made. We add the sodium according to the level. But when you are older than neonate, you can use 0.9 D5. You can use 0.9 D10 safely. Because remember, this is your initial prescription. And then when you do sodium level, if your sodium level, you have to back off. Even if you're giving 0.9 and your sodium is still high, you have to add more sodium. So 0.9, you can use it at any age. Dextrose depends on your glucose level. At neonate, it's safe to use D10. After neonate, it's safe to use D5. But next day, you might need to use D7.5. Remember, if you're using central line or a peripheral line. If you're using a peripheral line at the hand, it's best to use not more than D5. If you're using anticubital, you can use up to D10, D15. More than D15, then you should have a central line. So also your line will determine how much dextrose you're giving. But when you give D9, 0.9, sorry, normal saline, at any age, as initial prescription, but not in the first day of life. And you have to back off if your sodium is high. Any more questions? I still didn't understand how to calculate potassium maintenance equation. What I know, it's 1 to 2 milliequivalent per kg. That's the maintenance. Sinan, this is the maintenance. This is not the deficit. This is not the loss. The loss is mainly intracellular. And the loss from the intracellular usually after 4 days. And then you need to use 150. And then you multiply it by the percentage of intracellular times the weight, and you get the loss. I repeat the equation. Where is the equation? You can use any equation. I don't care about potassium. Here is the equation. So if it's within the first 3 days, it's 0.5. Yes, you are right. It's 0.4. It's not 0.6. You're correct. The for potassium, yeah, it's 0.4, as I told you. If it's in the first 3, it's 0.2. If it's in the second, it's 0.6. If sodium for first, it's 0.8. If you go for 0.6, you are right. So I don't know what is you mean by question. You use the number 150 because mainly intracellular. That's the intracellular concentration of potassium. That's the extracellular concentration of sodium. If you are when the you use 0.8. If you are after 3 days, you use 0.6. If you are 3 days, you use 0.2 for potassium. If after that, you use 0.4. Does that answer your question? And remember, this deficit is not normal potassium level. It's just for the fluid. So this is not hypokalemia. We don't have hypokalemia here. We're just losing a fluid with normal potassium. We're just replacing. But if you give 1.5 to 1 milliequivalent per first day, and you have normal, and then next day you measure, if it's low, you can increase it, I don't think you will have a problem. Okay, any more questions? Should I conclude? Well, thank you very much for attending, and I hope I see you in tomorrow. I will do the very principle of resuscitation in newborns for medical students, so anybody can attend. He or she is welcome. Also, I started my ultrasound course online. It's through a company, and therefore you need to pay money to see it. And the reason for that, because when I did it for free, people register, but they don't show up. So that when they pay money, they will show up. Second, I will make sure that you will not watch only one video and then you disappear, and then maybe you malpractice. Then I'm sure when you pay money, you will watch the 10 videos, because I will give you 1 year. Because most of people say, well, I'm busy, I have a marriage ceremony, whatever the reason, there were internet problem, so live didn't work. And therefore I make sure that you watch the video many times, and then when you watch the videos and I make sure you're registered and you give me your name and your mobile and I have it, I will take you to a Facebook page. And then I will mentor you. So you can do ultrasound, and then we can discuss it together over 1 year, because you'll have 1 year prescription. So anybody who want to register, it's there. If you have a problem with registration, or you don't know how, or you have a problem in paying money, we have many alternatives. And the website administrator, one of them is my son, they're very good in following that. So anybody want to register for that course, it's a beautiful course. I spent 6 months preparing it. I thought I can give it for free, but didn't work. And they told me that is the best way to do it. I'm not gaining any money for it. All the money is going for the domain and the website and people working on it. But my intention is to teach people these skills. So if I'm successful with this health ultrasound, I will go with other courses like ventilation, like abdominal ultrasound, respiratory ultrasound, echo, TPN, and so on. Stabilization of sick patient, and so on. So if you want to register and you cannot pay, we can help. If you don't know how to register, we can help. We have representative in Iraq and in Egypt, and we will have representative more in India and in China later on. So if you want to register, it's www.ethawi.com. So register. If you have a question, just ask me. Anyhow, thank you very much for that, and I hope I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.